telling yourself the juice isn't worth the squeeze is just you pissed off that you might have to work harder than somebody else. So this one was a busy week. We had 3 flights this week, and I never realized how hard it was to film at 3 in the morning until I actually tried to do it. So I'm going to do voiceover on this one.
Hey, buddy. Go back to sleep. We'll be back in a bit.
It was something I realized early on when I first started to be offered things. So, for example, I was offered a chance to moderate the Reddit subs, the Married Red Pill, and the Red Pill. Rollo Tomasi invited me down to the 21 convention.
What's going on, buddy?
I realized it was something I took away from, maybe it was my upbringing as a farm boy, maybe it was the military, who knows, but it was something I came to understand, is that none of us are really naturals. And the thing about not being a natural is you just have to be better. So when you see a lot of these guys that are going their own way or being told their own way, they give you a lot of real weird coping mechanisms, telling you that juice isn't worth the squeeze. And that's a reference to thinking that the company of women isn't worth putting up with the hardship of attaining women. Or they don't want to work out because it's too difficult. And that other people have it so much easier. It's this weird sense of fairness. And I think that stems from women raising men without fathers and raising them as defective women. It was something I learned early on in the pickup days, where some guys just walked up to girls, chatted them up, and they did really well. I, on the other hand, wasn't quite so naturally gifted, so I had to read up, and in my case, it was the mystery method. You guys might remember that from the old VHF series or whatever that channel's called. But essentially, I got better at it. And the way I got better at it was just being better than those who were naturally gifted at it. And I preferred it that way. It kind of gave me a nice appreciation for things that I don't think I would have gained if it just naturally happened. So the one thing I love about this space is that guys came from those humble beginnings as pickup, kind of get them in the media now as the fedora wearing neckbeards, but you know what? Whatever. I don't even mind that. At the end of the day, you learn to value gifts because you worked to earn them. And a lot of that stems from sacrifice. So, and this has been a theme throughout most of my life here, and it's one thing that's been referenced by 100 different guys in this space, written 100 different ways, is that they ended up at a low point in their life where maybe their wife was not as sexual as she should have been, considering the amount of effort he was putting in on the marriage otherwise. Maybe a guy just didn't have enough women in his life where he could feel comfortable turning one down. Maybe it's just something simple like a young kid who can't get out of his parents' house because he has no idea what to do with his life. End of the day, it all comes down to sacrifice. Can you imagine if a fat guy decided that, you know what, I just have to be more strict with my diet than a bodybuilder? Do you know how many less fat people we would have if they had that mentality? And it sucks. I'm not going to lie. It really sucked. It sucks for me. When I first left the military, I think because of the stress they had put me through near the end there, I'd probably gained about 20 pounds, which I know for a lot of people that doesn't sound like much, but when you want to drop that fairly quickly, you pretty much buckle down and get things done. And like I said, it reflects on this week of airport visits. I mean, the wife had to fly across the country to see her family. I had to fly across the country to see mine, and eventually had to fly back again for some work functions. But you just buckle down and do it, because at the end of the day, you're going to get a much better outcome than if you don't put in that extra effort. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, where's the proof that this outcome is going to be exactly what I want? You're just not going to get it. So the only way to go through this is you have to have faith that you putting in your best effort, you putting in that sacrifice, you deciding to be better than the guy next to you just to make it as far as he's made it. You just have to accept that even if you don't get what you're looking for, you're going to be far better off than where you started. And I wish there was some magical set of words I could use to impart that wisdom on a guy, but I just don't have it. If somebody doesn't want to put in any amount of work, if somebody wants guarantees, if somebody wants to know that everybody in his life will pat him on the back for doing what he was supposed to do.
It's funny now, everybody at the airport's wearing business suit or jogging pants. Except for that guy.
Then I got nothing for him. So this is a message really geared towards those kind of guys that just never got any guidance. I mean, I never got guidance. I had to learn a lot of this stuff myself. I eventually got smart, and as you start putting in effort, you're going to notice that people who are worth it will pay attention, and they start actually giving you that bit of help. And that's where the benefits start to pay off. So you do these sacrifices, you work your butt off, you count your calories, you weigh your food, you scrimp and save, you move out of your parents' place, you learn to approach by doing it 200 times and getting called and creepy or whatever every single time until eventually you just get better. Here's the thing. Other people start to notice that, and people who are already better see a guy who's on his way up and they love to help. One thing you'll find of anybody who's at any level of success is that they love to be a mentor, and you'll see it yourself. Once you're there and you see a guy who's working hard, you're going to see part of your struggle reflected in him. And then naturally you want to help that guy, which is awesome. So try to keep that in mind when you start saying goofy stuff like the juice isn't worth the squeeze, or I don't think I can do it, or I don't want to put in the effort.
So you get this conversation. It happens the same time every time. You'll tell somebody that video games are a waste of time, they're simulated achievements, and your time is better spent doing something else. Sure as shit, every time somebody comes to you going, no man, it's not like that. I have a 6-figure business and I play League of Legends every day. Then you get other good advice, like stop smoking weed. It essentially just makes you tolerant of boredom, and that's time you could better spend building yourself up and doing something better. No, man, it's fine. You can smoke weed all the time if you want to. Switch to edibles or do a vape. And it's always the same conversation every time. So the trick is, it's about sacrifice and resolve. You basically can't do what successful people do. So you have to pick your level of sacrifice to get what you want. So the main takeaway for all this is sacrifice. Basically, you have to look yourself in the mirror and realize, I don't get to do what a natural gets to do if I want to have any level of success. Now, for some people, maybe you're supernatural, you can eat like a pig and work out a couple times a week and you still look jacked. But for others, you just aren't able to eat candy and sweets and still get there. So you have to make a sacrifice. In that case, you have to weigh your food, count your calories, work twice as hard as that guy who naturally has it. Same thing when it comes to women. Some guys are just, since 13, they naturally learned how to talk to women, how to be charismatic, how to get and hold a girl. They don't have to work as hard as you. You're the guy who has to read a bunch of books, practice approaching 100, 200 times until you actually get the hang of it. Or the guy who smokes weed. You got plenty of successful people that smoke weed. Sometimes they even get creative out of it. But most guys just end up doing Netflix and chill, smoking weed, and doing the absolute bare minimum. And so at the end of the day, you just work within your limitations and you realize that you're not a natural. You make your sacrifices and you get that success. Sometimes it's just a case of you have to be better than the guy next to you just to be equal. Then again, would that be so hard? The one thing I do enjoy about having resolve and making sacrifice is that you tend to enjoy success a lot more. Trust fund babies don't enjoy being rich, but the guy who builds himself up from nothing, he tends to enjoy it a lot more. So if you ask me, I would rather have to learn and not be there than be that natural that had everything handed to him. The taste of success is that much sweeter. Anyways, thanks guys for sticking around. I'll catch you next time.